Hello there, this is Wild Bill's Adventures Outdoor. I took a little adventure, so I thought I'll just share you the little adventure I went to. This place is called Missile Silo Adventure, Atlas ad Astra. It's really awesome place. It's located at Wilson, Kansas, 354 4th Road at Wilson, Kansas. And it's a really awesome place to go. We'll go ahead and get ready and check it out.
Have any kind of history or background with missile bases? Are you familiar with them at all?
Not very much.
Not much.
Okay. So what we're standing on top of is the Atlas F missile silo. The Atlas was our first intercontinental ballistic missile. It was all kind of a response to Sputnik going up in the 50s. We recognized that the Soviet Union had the capability of putting a spy satellite into space, well, they could, send nukes over our way. So very rapidly we started developing our own missile defense systems. They started construction here in 1959. They finished in 61. And then this was operational from 61 until 65. Just 4 years, and then it was already obsolete. Our next generation of rocket, called the Titan, was put into play. So Kansas was kind of missile base central. There were 9 Atlas E missile bases around Forbes Field near Topeka. And then around Salina, Schilling Air Force Base had 12 Atlas F missile silos. And then down in Wichita, they had 18 Titan IIs. So, but this was all, the height of the Cold War. You had the Cuban Missile Crisis going on. The JFK assassination happened. I mean, these missileers thought at any moment we may be under attack, which is why they put all these missile bases right in the center of the United States here in Kansas. And, throughout the center of the continent. You would have a longer operating window if you saw that they were launching on us. This would have been a strategic target. So this base was engineered to withstand a nearby nuclear strike. The concrete we're standing on here is 9 feet thick. You've got like 3-inch thick rebar that ties it all together. These blast doors are 3 foot thick, 75 tons each. And the way that this operated, the doors would open up with large hydraulic rams. Elevator would lift the rocket to the surface, and it was fueled up and then ready to go. So they had a combination of kerosene and liquid oxygen that they would use for the rocket fuel, and so that liquid oxygen had to be stored at an extreme cold temperature in cryogenic chambers. So that was the last part that was fueled, and they could get this up, raised, ready to go in 15 to 20 minutes. Now, there was a deflector shield that would send the flames off to the side, so it wouldn't shoot back down inside, but this was just like one and done. Once they launched, they probably could refit this with another rocket if need be, but it wasn't like there was a lot of other ones on standby ready for that. Now, when they decommissioned this, a salvage team came and took all the infrastructure out at this facility, and the rockets were taken and used for different programs. There was a technology transfer that went between the Department of Defense and NASA for our great space race, and the Atlas rocket was actually turned into a spacecraft to send our first 4 astronauts into orbit around our planet. We also set up our own spy satellites and global communication networks, but I did some research. I found the tail number here. The rocket was taken down to Florida, and it was used by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration to put up a weather satellite. So, in a lot of ways, I feel like this rocket technology actually helped bring us together as a human race more than tear us apart. You have to look for that silver lining, right?
Yeah.
But when the salvage team took all the infrastructure out, originally there were 8 floors that held the missile in place, and it was known as a crib. So you could go down a spiral staircase and have access to do work on the rocket and such. The rocket was 10 feet in diameter and it was only 71 feet tall. But the silo goes down 176 feet beneath us, and it's 52 feet in diameter. So there was a lot of floor space there. And after all that infrastructure was connected to large springs on the wall. That way, if an explosion happened at the surface, the entire floor system could move and that rocket would be safe inside. But all that's left is those springs are still in the wall, but all the metal floors are gone. They filled up the bottom with water, and then they left these doors open for a period of time. That way, when spy satellites went overhead, they could see the reflection in the water and verify that this was an empty, decommissioned base, so it wouldn't be a target anymore. They had removed the hydraulic rams that would open and close these doors, so when they let these doors slam shut, it created such a percussion it blew out the windows in the farmhouse just down the road.
Wow.
So, pretty crazy. Next, what we'll do is we'll take a little walk around the property. I'll show you some other points of interest, and then we'll go underground.
All right.
Okay? But here, this was a part of the power system. So you had diesel generators that would power the facility if the grid were to go down. And right here, there was it was known as a chilling unit. It would cool off those generators and keep them operational. Now, all of that was removed years ago. Decommissioned this base. First dibs went to the city of Wilson to take over the property, but they had no real reason to have a bunker, so they took the diesel generators off this property and used them for the power plant in town. What I would like to do is use this as a foundation and turn it into like a gift shop and check-in area when guests arrive. Maybe in the morning for campers, have a gourmet coffee shop, and in the evening, a wine and whiskey bar, you know, make it a social place. Just started gutting the facility, tearing out all the mold and rusty stuff, and started mowing the lawn, making it feel more park-like. And so I opened it up as a campground when I felt like it was safe enough for people to tour. And so I've just been doing historical tours and camping, and that allowing for me to live here and work on this place every day. Over the past couple years, I've probably had about 1,000 RVs come through. I'm gonna turn this down here into the new RV park. I want to trench in electric, water, and plumbing so you have full hookups. And it's a big circle. I kind of want it to look like a sunflower from Google Maps. Sunflower is the international symbol for nuclear disarmament. We've used sunflowers to bring radiation out of Chernobyl, and it's also the state flower of Kansas. So I feel like there's some cool tie-ins with this old abandoned missile base. These concrete pads originally were Quonset hut buildings, a steel curved structure that was used by the construction crews. You had welding stations and could store equipment inside. Over there was Army Corps of Engineers had their office, and in the back there was a kitchen and bathroom. So what I would like to do is tie into that original plumbing and build out like a shower house, laundry facility, and pet washing station, so guests can clean up as they're traveling along. And if I could get more funding, I would love to turn this 100-foot by 40-foot pad into an event center. You know, a place where I could host weddings, concerts, corporate retreats. People are always looking for a unique venue to have a party at. So I kind of want to go back to my Swedish and Norwegian roots and do like a Viking longhouse. You know, with those big feasting halls with axe throwing.
That'd be nice. That'd be fun.
I mean, I'm just dreaming, but yeah. So I have 24 acres of land here, and I mow hiking paths all over the property. So, you know, if guests have been driving all day, they can stretch their legs or take their dogs on a walk or whatever. 2 wells and a water treatment plant. That metal building is original. I'm currently using it as an outhouse. You see the bag outside? That's an anaerobic biodigester. So all your waste goes into there, and the spout sticking up, you can throw in food scraps and other organic waste. And as it all breaks down, it turns into liquid fertilizer, and then also the upper chamber inflates full of biogas, which I have pressurized over to a cook stove. Wow. So in a lot of third world nations, people don't have access to good sanitation like toilets or firewood for cooking. This solves a couple problems at once. All about showcasing those sort of sustainable technologies that are going to bring us forward in the world. So right here, I just built this structure with a friend of mine, and this is going to become the new shower house. I'm going to have a nice rainfall shower, picture windows, and skylights. So it'll be nice when it's all done. I moved out here in 2020 after my divorce, and I was living in the RV, and then ended up building that dome this last year, and just moved in a few months ago. So What I did was I excavated a circle 30 foot in diameter, poured my foundation, and then attached an air form to that. So when that inflated, it created that dome shape. Then I tied in all my rebar and framing built out for doors and windows, and sprayed on layer after layer of concrete, and then insulated foam and put a coating over the top to seal it all up. And the airform I could just pull down, and I could use that for another dome if I wanted. So it's about 700 square feet of space. It's perfect for me and my 2 dogs. What I really want to do is build an obstacle course out there. Similar to what the military uses for training confidence in their soldiers. A few years back, I competed on a TV show called American Ninja Warrior. I went as a missile silo ninja, so I love challenges. Okay, this here is the escape hatch. If the main entryway were blocked, this was the backup plan. So this shaft originally would have been filled with 4 tons of sand. And that would protect against overpressures from an explosion. So there's a handle you would pull, doors open up, all the sand would drop down like through an hourglass. Then you could climb up that ladder to get to the surface. So, you ready to go underground?
Sure.
Much warmer. That's the great thing about being underground.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's 110 in the summer or -10 in the winter. It's going to be in the 50s, 60s down here. So the place is still under construction, but I've really been blessed along this journey. Benjamin Moore donated 100 gallons of paint for my project, so I painted all the wall and such with some help from friends and family. But here's a button you would press. It would buzz you into this next room. Electronic locks would unlock the door. You would shut the door behind you, pick up a phone, look into a camera, and say your access code. If you said the right code, the next door would get buzzed open. If you said the wrong code, you're trapped in this room until military police take you away. So this is known as the entrapment room for that purpose. Next, you come to these 2 large blast doors. This is a 2,000-pound door. It's made of manganese and has a higher melting point than regular steel. Now, you may have noticed as we came down the stairs, we went around a corner, another corner, another corner. The engineering is such that explosive force we're coming down here, each time it has to stop and turn, it's going to lose up to 10% of its energy. So by the time it hit the curvature of this door, that would dissipate that energy into these thick concrete walls and blow out that hole right there. We'll head on down. That's right. So this top floor, it was known as the ready room. It's where the missileers used to live. So there were bunk beds, there was a bathroom with a shower and a couple toilets, a kitchen and dining room, large air handling room that could filter out chemical, biological, and nuclear contaminants, medical closet, and utility room. So that was all on the top floor. The lower level is where the actual launch control room was with the big desk and all the equipment and such. But you see this handle? That goes to the escape hatch that you were looking down earlier. And you notice how the floor is separate from the walls. Originally this was suspended from the ceiling at 4 different points around the room. So you had air shocks that would stabilize the entire floor system so we could just float. If there was an explosion up above, everything would keep level and stable. But when I bought this, everything was falling apart. You know, asbestos floor tile peeling up off the floor, lead paint coming off the rails. You know, the walls had mold in them, so I had to gut everything down just to basic steel and concrete, and then pressure wash and clean all the mold out, and sandblast all the metal, and then repaint it all. So it's been quite a process. From time to time, I get help from friends or family. For the most part, I'm just a one-man wrecking crew trying to work on this project every day. Now, my goal in fixing this up is to turn it into an educational center for space habitat studies. Space is one of the fastest growing industries in the world today. You have major players like Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk, building out rocket programs and such. But we're looking at sending men and women to the moon this year or maybe next with NASA. And we want to have a permanent presence up there. So you have to think through this. If there are no natural resources to draw upon, your habitat has to produce fresh food, clean air, pure water, consistent energy to keep everything running, health, medical, communications, all integrated in. That way, if supply missions from Earth ever stopped, people could live up there indefinitely. So what I'm doing is I'm working with different companies to feature their products in this place and showcase how we could live a sustainable lifestyle. So take, for instance, the floor you're standing on. Instead of using a hardwood like oak, where an oak tree needs to grow 60 years before it's mature enough to harvest, this is actually made from a company out of Kentucky called hempwood. So hemp is a very fast-growing product that in just 6 months, you can produce as much as a 60-year-old tree. So I believe hemp is like the future of sustainable construction.
So just compress it real hard like they do bamboo?
Mm-hmm, that's right. My father and I, we've done custom woodworking together for years. Just getting this kitchen all figured out. Building a bar top and install countertops. Trying to figure out what granite I may want to use for the countertops. Yeah, so you see the window in the back. I'm actually going to turn that back room into a food growing area where I have a program called aquaponics. So I'll have an aquarium there where you can see the tilapia fish, and behind it, all the nutrient-rich water from fish flow into hydroponic grow beds. And so the roots suck up the nutrients, filter the water, and the water goes back clean to the fish. It's a closed-loop system that conserves your water consumption. So in developing it out, it's not only the educational center, but I'm turning it into an Airbnb. We can walk through real quick. I'll show you. I'm getting the bathroom all finished, and I'm also working with my father. He does custom woodworking, so he takes these old pianos and turns them into beautiful cabinets. So I'm just trying to sell his products out of this place as well. Here's another piano that he built. It's a gun and liquor cabinet, so you can have your guns there and keep all your liquor here.
Was it like a player piano or just?
Yeah, upright piano that he just turned into that. But so I have the king bed here and bunk beds. So if a family arrives, parents can have some privacy from the kids. And until I get the kitchen finished, I have a little food station here. Now, my ultimate goal in fixing up this place is actually to develop out not just the former launch control center, but also the entire silo. A friend of mine, he converted his missile base here in Kansas into a 15-floor luxury condominium complex known as survivalcondo.com. So he turned 7 floors into residential units. Each floor is about 2,000 square feet of space. And then the rest are amenities. There's a movie theater, bar, rock climbing wall, indoor swimming pool, indoor firing range, and gaming rooms. The place is fun, but he takes things very seriously. He has military-grade security, a surgical suite, dental chair, his own pharmacy. He's growing fresh food using aquaponics, and he even has an education and library level. So he has K through 12 curriculum for all the kids who may be in a lockdown scenario. Back in 2012, I was giving a tour to a potential client, and as we were walking through the library, my ex-wife looked around and said, "Well, Larry, I don't see any bookshelves in your library." Well, the guy who was supposed to build them couldn't get to it for another year, and she goes, "Well, I know someone who does amazing woodwork." And so he looked at me and said, "Well, give me a bid." And my father and I, we built a custom library, 40 feet long, floor to ceiling, curved around the outside of the room for that project. So if you look up Survival Condo, you'll see some of my craftsmanship. Well, so my ultimate goal, like I said, isn't to turn this into a condo just for a few wealthy people. My idea is to turn this into the educational center and also like a space-themed adventure resort. A place where you can actually come and go through future astronaut training and get the education that could give you the skill sets to work out in space potentially. So yeah, it's just one step at a time. First I'm knocking this out, but this I'll actually need some serious investment, about $25 to $30 million to finish. So I am looking for investors who want to see this developed. But we'll head downstairs next and I'll show you some more. As you can see, this is still in construction phase, but yeah, I had to sandblast every inch of this metal before I could paint it. That was quite the process. Here you see the original launch control desk. Unfortunately, they gutted this when they left. So what I plan on doing is cleaning this all up, and then I'll probably remove this panel and replace it with a touchscreen monitor and digitally recreate what it would have looked like. So you can go through a simulation of launching the missile. Here in this box is where the launch codes were kept. It took 2 missileers to open this up. Each had their own combination lock. That way no one person would ever have access to those codes. So the desk was located around here. Back behind it was an office. Next to that was a backup battery room, and that whole side was full of computers and communications equipment. Took an entire room full of computers in the 60s that had less processing power than the phone in your pocket. So you can see blue tape on the floor. I plan on turning this into the main Airbnb. So I'm going to be building out a king bedroom with bathroom, queen bedroom with bunk rooms and bathroom, and then the master suite there with a bathroom. And back there, the utility room, I'm thinking about installing a sauna and soaking tub. So kind of a spa area. Watch your head, this is the low entryway. This tray is for running wiring through the tunnel. The tube next to it is for bringing fresh air into the tunnel. And you notice there's a graded floor here. These were completely rusted out. I replaced them, but there tends to be a lot of condensation in this area, so water would drip down and drain away. Now, unfortunately, the sandblaster, the hose didn't reach all the way through the tunnel, and I was unable to blast this off and repaint it. But people tell me I should keep it this way. It kind of adds to the you get to see this original seafoam green color. So psychological studies showed that this color spectrum has a soothing or calming effect on people. It's meant to reduce stress. So as you can imagine, this would have been a very stressful job for anybody to have. And that's why you see this color scheme in a lot of military facilities, mental hospitals, even schools built in that time period.
And you're stuck in here for a long, long time.
All right, so if you step up here, if you look up, you'll see the blast doors where we start the tour. And you see some ductwork for the air handling system, allowing fresh air into the place. Remember, attached to these springs, there were 8 floors, known as the crib, that held the missile in place. And if you look underneath this spring, you see a chamber attached to the side of the wall. It's known as the celestial chamber. Here. So the celestial chamber, there was a tube that went to the surface, and you could align by the North Star to get the navigational system all correct for the rocket. And there's about 60 feet of water, 60 to 70 feet of water down there currently. It's about 80 feet down. I've been rappelling down there a couple times to the water. Cool. Yeah, just to send back up the rope, or the next time we threw down a caving ladder and climbed up.